Okay, we'll start now. Good evening to everybody. Uh, See, as usual, we will be first taking up the model answer for the last week's question, and subsequently, then empiricism to other philosophers, Berkeley and Hume. But before that, I just want to make one announcement. Uh, see, what I am going to do is from next week, that is coming Sunday, not tomorrow, but from 20th of April, uh, I will be taking up the ethics class also every Sunday from 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Because I understand there is a need also, and since ethics is directly related with philosophy, uh, most of you will know that the uh, ethics is a subcomponent of philosophy, and it's very, very closely related. And particularly for the students of philosophy, about 70 to 80% of the ethics syllabus you can understand very well. And also in writing skills also of ethics paper, it will be very easy for you. So not only because anyway ethics is general studies paper, so it will be for everybody. So but I just want to make an announcement that from next Sunday, from 20th of April, every Sunday I will be taking one class for ethics. I just want to tell you another thing also, because ethics is subcomponent of philosophy. So whosoever, I mean, particularly the students of philosophy, they will know or understand ethics better. And in my opinion, ethics is practical philosophy. I mean, what you incorporate in your life, living style, uh, and that directly will reflect in your interview also, in your personality test also, whether for UPSC or for other exams or whatever. So philosophy will strengthen ethics. Ethics will further strengthen your personality, your interview techniques, your answering skills, particularly in interviews. From next week, uh, I will be taking. I've already posted also. I mean, it has been posted in the groups also. The students who are interested, they can join, because definitely that is open for all the students, not only for philosophy, because it's common GS paper is there. So, but definitely it will be easier for philosophy students to understand what are the components of the ethics GS4 paper. Uh, Another announcement I've already done last week. Again, I just want to repeat. Uh, from June first week, or just after the prelims, I will be starting the test series also for philosophy and ethics, because uh, but that test series will be for only those students who are going to appear in the this year's mains exam, that is 2025 mains exam. So basically, whosoever has appeared in the prelims, because results will not come by that time, so whosoever has appeared in the prelims 2025, they can join that. So for that, we will start the process in the month of May, so that you can join that, and then the test series will be for these two subjects. We will have uh, offline and online also. The students, I told last week also, the students who are available in Delhi, we will fix some examination hall or something. They can come and attend the test series in Delhi offline also. Otherwise, the students who are located elsewhere, they can attend definitely online. They can send their PDF uh, answer sheets for evaluation. We will again give them model answers and also tell them the deficiencies which are there in the answers. So with this announcements, now I just want to say, now we will start with the uh, last week's question and model answer. So I just would like to share the last week's question, and we will start that. Yeah. So if we see last week, that was week 6. So what was the question given? If we see, because last week we covered Locke, who was an empiricist, I mean, basically founder of the empiricist philosophy. So what was the question of that week? Is Locke an inconsistent empiricist? So now today we will be attempting a model answer for this question. So just I want to, because uh, so what can be the model answer? See, first we will have to describe the empiricism of Locke. What was his theory? What was his basically an empiricism of Locke means everything in brief you have to write what theories he has given uh, regarding the basically theory of knowledge or theory of that is his epistemology or his metaphysics. All those things you have to basically describe, and then you have to state what are the deficiencies in that, what are the inconsistencies in that, and then finally critically you have to evaluate that whether he was an inconsistent empiricist. So same thing has been done in this answer. Now this answer is a little longer answer because usually you have to write in 350 to 400 words for a 20 marks answer, and for about 10 marks 150 words or something you have to write. But here if you see, I've written a little longer answer just because understanding that part of it definitely we tend to forget at the time of recalling in the actual examination hall. And then second point is that we should prepare in such a way that in whatever form the question is asked, we should be able to answer. So therefore, this answer is a little longer, but in actual writing practice, you have to make it little more brief. So first, what we have done is same thing. Locke's empiricism has been described. What was it? We know that as an empiricist philosophy, all knowledge comes from experience. This was what the philosophy. Before that, the rationalist philosophy was that knowledge comes from innate ideas, or already it's present in the mind in the form of innate ideas. For example, uh, Descartes, Spinoza, and Leibniz, they have given that theory of innate ideas. But Locke Berkeley, and Hume, all the three philosophers, and here we are discussing Locke. So all knowledge must be acquired through experience. So this is the basic theory that knowledge comes from experience. Now, there are two sources for Locke: sensation and reflection. Sensation is external experience of the physical world. Reflection, internal experience, mental process are involved in that, thinking, doubting, etc. So basically, uh, Locke's philosophy or empiricism is known as psychological empiricism. He is also called the uh, father of modern psychology because his theory deals with a lot of psychological elements. So he is also called father of modern psychology, and his theory of empiricism is uh, not purely epistemological. Epistemological means it's not basically theory of knowledge, rather than how mind processes the experience, or how uh, the experience generates the knowledge. So basically, it's called psychological empiricism. Uh, Basically, this deals with how our ideas arise, and how psychologically, basically, we generate the knowledge through our mind process. So this is that's why it's called uh, psychological empiricism. Now, as we know, he has proposed epistemological dualism because there is external world and there are ideas. And external world is not directly, I mean, we don't have knowledge because primary and secondary qualities, you may be knowing that last week we discussed that the material or the has the primary qualities, and secondary qualities are generated through mind. So basically, his knowledge or his theory is epistemological dualism. It's not single that material is different and the knowledge through ideas is different. The mind, as he has called tabula rasa, that is blank state. There is nothing available in the mind. Everything is generated through experience. So that is his basic theory. Now, is Locke an inconsistent empiricist? Now, if we see what are, critical points or criticism as far as Locke is concerned, let us understand that. First we will see the Western uh, philosophical criticism, because then we'll, as I have already told in the earlier sessions also, our comments and criticism have to be little diverse. Western philosophers, then Indian philosophy, if relevant points we can bring forth comparative issues, and then modern science and modern technology also, if something we can relate with the whole thing. So all the three things we need to mention briefly so that our answer becomes complete. So here, the what Western philosophy or other philosophers say as far as Locke's the empiricism is concerned. He has, even though he has uh, relied on empiricism, but he believes in abstract ideas also, because he believed in God, he believed in self, he believed so for example, philosophers like Russell, they argued that empirical knowledge and rationalist elements both are available in the Locke's philosophy. So it's not that totally everything is empirical, because he believes in God also, he believes in self also, and definitely if you say that everything should be experienced, so these things are not experienced. He believed in substance also. Uh, uh, and the next empiricist philosophers, for example, Hume or Berkeley, they attacked this notion that why he believes in substance, because we only experience qualities, not the underlying substance. This is what Hume told. Kant also has criticized Locke for failing to recognize that mind actively structures experience. So basically, uh, his inconsistencies, these philosophers have, subsequent philosophers, whether it is Kant, whether it is Hume or Russell, have pointed out. The distinction between primary and secondary quality, this also has been criticized. In fact, last week also we saw this. This has also been criticized. And in fact, subsequent empiricist philosophers, Berkeley and Hume, both they discarded this kind of distinction. So they have criticized this is a distinction of primary and secondary qualities, which was put forth by Locke. Then material and spiritual substance, as I've already told, Locke believed in both material and spiritual substances, which contradicts empiricism, because spiritual substance cannot be uh, experienced through senses or through, as far as empiricist theory is concerned. So, therefore, believing in a spiritual substance again is a contradiction, basically. Similarly, Voltaire has also raised this similar kind of objection. Then three kinds of knowledge. Basically, Locke has divided knowledge in three kinds: sensitive, demonstrative, and intuitive. So this is a problematic, because a strict empiricist should only accept sensitive knowledge arrived through senses, and not demonstrative and intuitive. So if he is believing all the three kinds of division in knowledge, it means he is not in a strict sense uh, an empiricist philosopher, or consistent empiricist philosopher. Definitely he is not. Uh, in fact, passive mind in perception, this is again an important thing. The mind passively receives simple ideas. So, uh, perception is an active process of mind, and not passive process. So, this also has been criticized. Uh, Kant, again, mind actively organizes experience through a priori category. This is what Kant told. So, he has criticized Locke's uh, uh, theory of empiricism. What we find in Indian philosophy? comparable things, because definitely Indian philosophy and law, they are not contemporary, but definitely there are certain comparisons we can. So this actually sometimes a separate questions also comes, or sometimes in question also it is mentioned that bring out the comparative uh, philosophy or comparative points or ideas from Indian philosophy. So then we need to mention. Otherwise, very briefly, we can mention. For example, Nyaya Vaisesik, what they say. Nyaya Vaisesik school holds that universal, that is Saman, I mean, they call it Saman, and logical principles have independent reality. So Locke has rejected the innate ideas. So therefore, this view, I mean, Nyaya view, is against the Locke view. Similarly, Mimamsa school argues that ethics and dharma cannot be derived purely from empirical experience. So they believe that there is something beyond empirical also. So they also are challenging Locke's framework. Similarly, Buddhism has also, Buddhism actually aligns with Hume in rejecting the substance. Then Charvak philosophy of materialism is more consistent than Locke. Actually, as far as empiricism is concerned, if you take the Charvak school of materialism, so as far as empiricist philosophy is concerned, it's more consistent because they reject all kinds of metaphysical concepts like God or uh, spirit or any other thing. So they also feel that, I mean, if you compare Charvak school with Locke, then also inconsistencies in Locke's philosophy can be pointed out. Now, what are criticism from modern science? Abstract knowledge and cognitive science. What cognitive science says, that abstract reasoning arises from innate cognitive structures contradicting Locke's blank state theory. So basically, there are some innate cognitive structures which Locke does not believe, but it is believed by rationalists and also subsequently by Kant also. So this innate cognitive structure is not believed by Locke. So therefore, its criticism comes from uh, modern science, that is abstract knowledge and cognitive science. Then uh, there is innate ability to acquire language. Uh, Chomsky, his linguistics basically proves that there is some innate cognitive ability to acquire language. So this also is, I mean, Locke's theory is not able to explain. Quantum physics and substance, Locke assumes very stable external reality, but quantum mechanics suggests that reality is probabilistic rather than fixed. So this also I mean, does not find Locke's empiricism in a very consistent theory. Then observer effect in quantum physics aligns with Berkeley rather than Locke, that perception plays a fundamental role in constructing reality. So this also is different from, or at least in opposition to the Locke's theory. Neuroscience and perception, what they feel, Locke's passive perception theory is disproven by neuroscience. So they feel that brain actively constructs perception. So this also is again important, that Locke's theory is not very, very consistent as far as neuroscience is concerned. So what we find finally is, uh, even though Locke's theory is very, very important as far as he's father of empiricism, he's father of modern psychology, but still it has so many inconsistencies. So therefore, he is an inconsistent empiricist. There is no doubt about that. But his theory is a very, very central theory, and very subsequently also almost all the philosophers have discussed, whether it is Kant, whether it is Hume, Berkeley, everybody has discussed Locke's theory, and then some have improved upon further, and some have actually rejected it totally. So therefore, this conclusion we can, in conclusion, we can write almost briefly all the points. So that what Western philosophy, how criticize Indian philosophy, modern science, and what Locke's empiricism is foundational yet inconsistent. His acceptance of abstract ideas, substance, and a tripartite classification of knowledge contradicts strict empiricism. So this is, you see, the three, four in very brief, it can be pointed out the 3-4 inconsistencies, which are very, very strong inconsistencies as far as Locke's empiricism is concerned. So, with this, we conclude this model answer. Or now we have two other philosophers as far as empiricism is concerned. But before we go to that, as we do every time, let us see what is said in the syllabus as far as this Hume and Berkeley is concerned. If last time also we saw that for Locke, Berkeley, and Hume, theory of knowledge, substance and qualities, self and God, and skepticism. So basically, theory of knowledge is for all the three philosophers, substance and qualities again for all the three, self and God again in all the three, because substance and qualities and self and God, this covers the metaphysics. Theory of knowledge covers the epistemology. Skepticism is particularly for Hume. So once we go through Hume's philosophy, we will understand how he was a skeptic philosopher or not. So this is for him. Whereas epistemology and metaphysics is for all the three philosophers. So Locke we have completed. Berkeley and Hume. But before we go, actually, let us see what kind of questions are asked as far as the Berkeley and Hume is concerned. See, the question like es est percipi, to be is to be perceived. This question belongs to Berkeley, and it has been asked how many times you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically, for 6 years, if we last 12 years question papers I have analyzed, so for in 12 years, about 6, that is every alternate year, this question has been asked on es est percipi. So this is regarding Berkeley as far as the very, very important question. It has come, as you see, 6 times in 12 years. Then Hume, whether Hume was a skeptic or whether he was a skeptic philosopher, or whether Hume's philosophy is leads to skepticism. So this once it has been asked, and then again there are other, this discussed Hume's skepticism. So this also has been asked 3 times. So usually, I keep on telling that usually in philosophy, the questions are repeated. So if we are very, very keenly, we are analyzing the question paper, we will understand, which is very, very important. And maybe sometimes question wordings may be different. It may be asked in different format, but definitely the topics or the ideas will be same. Yes, sometimes you will have to write in a little different format, in different tone and tenor, but otherwise the topics will be mostly same. The basic, after going through this questions, what are the topics we have to study? So this also we usually, because unless you identify this, you will not be able to have a focused study, because I always keep on telling for better success, for better marks, you have to do the focused study. You cannot waste time here and there. So see, Locke we have finished already. For Berkeley, as I have already told, es est percipi, to be is to be perceived, is his theory, and this is very, very important, and this is a main important topic as far as Berkeley is concerned. For Hume, Hume's skepticism, then Hume's criticism of theory of causation, then problem of induction. So these 3 are very, very important as far as Hume is concerned. So what we will do today is, for Berkeley and Hume, we will first understand their basic philosophy, and then we will try to focus on these 3-4 topics little more detail, so that we go a little deeper basically in these topics after understanding their basic philosophy. So we will start with Berkeley, and then we will go to Hume, and then subsequently we will have a model answer for question of the week 7, because this is our 7th week. So this week perhaps we will have 2 questions, one for Hume, one for Berkeley, and then we'll try to answer that in next session. So we'll start with Berkeley. See, Berkeley is second philosopher as far as empiricism is concerned after Locke, and his philosophy or his empiricism is little refined version, or little, you can say, more consistent version of the Locke's philosophy. So basically, he has given the doctrine of immaterialism, which argues that material substances do not exist. If you remember, Locke has given that for him, material matter also exists. But for Berkeley, matter or material substance do not exist independently of perception. This is what his theory. And his theory is called doctrine of immaterialism, that material or matter does not exist independent of perception. So now, basically, if you see, he says that there is no matter unless somebody perceives that. So the question was asked, I mean, it will come subsequently also. Suppose there is some table or some forest or something, nobody is perceiving, then how that exists? So he says that when no human is perceiving, then God is perceiving, and therefore that substance exists because of God's perception. So basically, we'll see that what are the contradictions in his theory also subsequently, but this is what his theory is, that there is no substance independently existing without perception. Why? See, why he opposed materialism? There is because he was basically a very religious kind of philosopher, Berkeley. Even though he doesn't, I mean, he believed in empiricism, but he was a very religious kind of philosopher. So therefore, just to support the spiritualism, he has opposed the materialism, and therefore he has given the doctrine of immaterialism. So, because materialism he saw as a threat to religious faith and foundation for atheism and skepticism. So, therefore, he says, there is no matter unless somebody perceives that. And if nobody is perceiving, no human mind is perceiving, then God's mind is perceiving, therefore, matter exists. Now, what are his core philosophical ideas? The refutation of materialism, already we have discussed briefly, but then same thing what I have told, that materialism, he has opposed materialism just to support spiritualism, and he says matter does not exist independently of perception. If an object is not perceived by human, God perceives it, ensuring its continued existence. This leads to Berkeley's doctrine of es est percipi, that is, to be is to be perceived. So this is what his doctrine is, that if something is there, it has to be perceived, then only it is there. To be is to be perceived. According to Berkeley, the matter is an independent substance. Matter is not an independent substance, and it's never directly perceived. Matter is an unnecessary assumption. He says that matter, basically he's criticizing Locke, that matter is an unnecessary assumption because we never perceive that, and we only perceive the ideas, and that's what he has told. Now, what is Berkeley's theory of perception? Es est percipi. Berkeley's idealism states that object exists only as perceived by mind. So he says that object is equal to qualities, color, shape, and sound. Quality is equal to sensation, and objects is equal to then sensation. That is, everything we perceive is mental, not physical. So a tree exists. Example he has given. A tree exists because it is seen, touched, or smelled. A table is a bundle of ideas in the mind of perceiver. And basically, it's not that actually it exists, but since it is being perceived, therefore it exists. So this philosophy is also called subjective idealism because it depends on the perceiver's mind, which asserts that only mind and their perception exists. So this is what his philosophy, and this is what es est percipi in brief means. He has criticized Locke's empiricism, that we can very well understand because he was subsequent philosopher to Locke, and he was a little more consistent empiricist. So he has rejected the abstract ideas of Locke particularly. He says that because Locke has argued that general concepts such as, abstract ideas do exist also as general concept. Berkeley said, no, there is no, all ideas are particular and concrete and no abstract ideas exist. This is what Berkeley. Rejection of material substance, he has rejected material substance, which was accepted by Locke. Locke believed that the material substances exist but is unknowable. Berkeley says, no, it doesn't exist because something is unknowable, then there is no reason to assume that it exists. he has also criticized Locke's primary and secondary quality division, because he says that there is no distinction between primary and secondary qualities. Both primary and secondary qualities exist only in mind. He says that primary and secondary both exist in mind. And if you remember, Locke has told that primary qualities, they exist in substance, and secondary qualities are formulated by mind. But he says no, both primary and secondary, there is no distinction, or everything exists in mind only. Thus, material objects do not exist independently. They are simply collection of ideas. So, Berkeley's idealism is basically, uh, what is his idealism? It consists of minds and their ideas, and there is no substance in that. So, matter is not available, only it's observed through ideas. So, therefore, reality is mind and their ideas. So, if we see, Berkeley's idealism is subjective idealism. That is, objects exist only when perceived. Reality is a mental word dependent on perception. And if we remember Plato, because Plato we have already covered, and subsequently we will cover maybe after 1 week Hegel also. Hegel and Plato's idealism is objective idealism. So this also difference we should know, that subjective idealism, Berkeley; objective idealism, Plato and Hegel. What they objective means ideas exist independently of individual minds. If you remember, Plato has given theory of forms, said that there is some very true thing which is existing separately, and every other thing is copy of that. This is what Plato told. So there, Plato's idealism is objective idealism. Berkeley's idealism is subjective idealism. Now, Berkeley's critique of Locke representationism. See, Locke has again told that there is substance, and it has primary qualities, and secondary qualities are in the mind, and knowledge is basically representation of substance through mind. So Locke's representative theory of perception says we do not perceive objects directly. Instead, we perceive ideas and represent those objects. This is what Locke has told. Berkeley says, no, there is nothing like that. It's only presentationism and no representationism. If only ideas are directly known, then only ideas exist. This is what Berkeley says. So his theory, I mean, he is again criticizing Locke here also. Then again, Berkeley's argument for existence of God. So despite all these things, Berkeley believes that God exists because he was a spiritual philosopher. So he says that God is a necessary to sustain the reality. Because if you remember, in previous this thing, we told that nobody is observing, then God is observing. So our God is perceiving. So therefore, the substances, I mean, for the continuity of perception or for continuity of existence of substance, God is necessary. God's existence is necessary. So he has given some 2-3 arguments also. Cosmological argument, that ideas must have a cause, therefore God should exist. Then teleological argument, that is universe shows order, then God should exist. And God as the ultimate perceiver, because if nobody is perceiving, then God is perceiving, so therefore he exists. Now, what are the criticisms of arguments for God? Basically, again, he assumes that God exists to prove that objects exist, and then uses objects to prove the God, because there's a circular kind of reasoning which he has given. Then again, he has confused with perception with creation. Then misconception of God's knowledge. Critics argue that God's knowledge is intellectual, not sensory like human perception. So basically, if you see, really, this is inconsistency in Berkeley. Because on the one hand, you are saying that nothing exists except ideas, and on the other hand, you say that God existence is there. So which is not observed through ideas or not observed by any mind, human mind. So therefore, this inconsistency in empiricism of Berkeley, but there accordingly it has been criticized also. Comparison between Plato and Berkeley. I mean, as we have already seen, subjective and objective idealism. So if you see, just because sometimes brief questions may be asked on this also. Plato believed in forms, which we know, I mean, unchanging objective reality is beyond perception, and every other thing in this world is copy of that. Form exists independently of mind. The word of forms is objective. So for him, this is objective idealism. Berkeley's idealism, only mind and perception exists, and objects exist only when perceived. So reality is subjective and mind dependent. So this is subjective idealism. So this is what Berkeley's philosophy is basically. Uh, if we, in brief and conclusion, same thing has been written. So basically, Berkeley's subjective idealism, SS percipi, that to be is to be perceived, his criticism of Locke, very severe criticism basically, and inconsistency in a way that he believes in God, which is not at all perceived. Just to justify his other arguments, he has to believe in God, and therefore, because he was a spiritual philosopher, he was opposing materialism of his time. Therefore, he included this inconsistent uh, idea also in his whole philosophy. So this is what Berkeley, as far as we are concerned. Now we'll go to Hume, David Hume. Now he's again very, very important philosopher. Uh, and with Hume, empiricism has culminated. So what started from Locke, traveled through Berkeley, culminates in Hume. Hume's philosophy is basically psychological atomism. Uh, he says that knowledge consists of discrete, simple units of perception. So therefore, it is called psychological atomism. Uh, Hume's epistemology, because as you have seen the syllabus also, epistemology of all three philosophers we have to study. So what is Hume's epistemology? Empiricism and psychological atomism. Now, Hume says that he definitely believed in empiricism, that every knowledge comes from experience or sense through senses only, nothing available in the mind. So this is anyway empiricist tradition, that all knowledge arises from experience. Now, elaborating this, he says that there is a distinction between impression and ideas. So there are two things. Impressions are direct, vivid, and forceful sensory experiences, and ideas are fainter, less vivid copies of impressions. So these are two sources of empiricist knowledge, or this thing, impression and ideas. Impressions are very, very clear sensory experience. Ideas are fainter, less vivid impressions. Now again, he differentiates between impressions also. Impressions of sensation, impression of reflection, and then he says that knowledge originates in these impressions and ideas are simply weaker representations of them. So then again, he comes for a theory of association of ideas. He says that once mind acquires these simple impressions and ideas, complex ideas are constructed. And how it is constructed? Constructed through laws of association. Why? I mean, this is important because subsequently we'll come to know that he has criticized the causality and induction theory also. So unless we understand this, that because we have to come to main point of the Hume's philosophy, that there is no causal connection between one event to other. So subsequently it comes. But what he is telling here is that laws of association, through laws of association, ideas are connected. And what are the laws of association? Resemblance, contiguity, and causality. So, what is resemblance? When perception reminds us of one perception reminds us of other perception. What is contiguity? Idea of occurring close together in time or space, associated, one after the other. What is causality? When one event is consistently followed by another. So basically, these three are laws of association. So while these laws explain how ideas connect, sorry, Hume says that these are psychological habits and not logical necessities. What are psychological habits? These laws of association, that is resemblance, contiguity, or causality. So all this is psychological habit and not logical necessities. So then he comes to critique of causality. He says that causal connection or cause and effect connection is not a logical necessity. It is only a psychological habit. So he says that there is a logic. I mean, he criticized that he denied two key claims. What is cause and effect connection, or what is causality theory? That cause and effect are connected. Always effect follows from a cause. He says that there is no logical necessity between cause and effect. He denied this. There is no logical necessity between cause and effect. Cause contains a power that, I mean, he also denied this theory also, that a cause contains power that necessarily produce an effect. So these two theories of normal or normal causality theories or normal cause and effect theories are opposed by Hume. What Hume says, we never observe causation directly. Only that one event follows the other we observe. The necessity of causation is a mental habit formed by repeated experience of constant conjunction. Causality is a psychological expectation and not a logical certainty. Now, this is very, very important theory he has given, and it has been subsequently criticized also, subsequently reformed also but discussed definitely. So he says that necessity exists in our mind and not in nature. So there is nothing permanent, nothing causal connection is there, cause and effect connection. It is only psychological necessity. It exists in our mind. So then through this, I mean, what he has criticism of causality, and from here he comes to this problem of induction. Problem of induction is again very, very important concept by this. These two theories perhaps we will discuss in a little more detail also, but basics we should understand here. The problem of induction. What is induction? Induction is the process of predicting the future based on past observations. For example, very simple, here's example given. Sun will rise tomorrow because earlier it has, it has always been like that. So this is the problem. This is the induction, that from previous occurrences, from previous events, we predict the future. That since the past has been like this, therefore tomorrow also or future also will be like this. So Hume argued, what Hume told, the future will resemble the past is not a logical necessary, not logically necessary. Then again he says that the principle of induction, that is inducting or inducing from previous experience the future, is based on habit and not on reason. So this is again a very important theory he has given. He says that scientific reasoning relies on induction, yet it cannot provide absolute certainty. So therefore, theory of, he has opposed the causality theory, he has opposed the induction, and then knowledge, we have already seen his knowledge theory. Now, further he has divided the knowledge in two categories: relations of ideas and matters of fact. Relation of ideas, he says that a priori knowledge, which is necessary and true, but it does not generate any new knowledge. That's what he says. Matter of facts are empirical knowledge, which depends on experience, is always uncertain. So therefore, there is no certainty in matter of fact knowledge. So Hume rejected metaphysical speculation. So he basically rejected self, he rejected God, he rejected all kinds of metaphysical propositions which earlier philosophers, even empiricist philosophers like Locke and Berkeley have accepted. Berkeley, as we know, he said that God is there. Locke has said matter is also there, God is also there. What Hume says, no, nothing exists. And this is very, very important quotation from Hume. I think once or twice it has come in the exam also. Just to elaborate this or critically examine this, I will read it out. If we take in our hand any volume of divinity or school metaphysics, let us ask, does it contain any abstract reasoning concerning quantity or number? No. Does it contain any experimental reasoning concerning matter of fact and existence? No. Commit it then to flames, for it can contain nothing but sophistry and illusion. So this is what the important statement of Hume is, particularly for the metaphysical speculation or metaphysics. Metaphysics means, again, it's theory of reality. This is called metaphysics, which means which deals with self, which deals with God, which deals with matter. So all these things are covered in metaphysics, theory of reality. Now, what is Hume's theory of personal identity? Again, because he has already rejected metaphysics, so definitely he will reject the self also, because this also is a part of metaphysics only. So personal identity means self, that is soul or self or whatever you can say. So Hume rejected the idea of a permanent self. So and if you see that, he says that we never directly experience self, and self is not a unified entity but a bundle of perceptions. So personal identity is an illusion created by memory and association. This is what Hume's theory is. And if you, some of you might have gone through Buddhist philosophy of momentariness or anattavad. So this Hume's theory is quite close to this Buddhist anattavad, doctrine of no self. Buddhism also says that same thing, and he also says the same thing. So what are the criticism of Hume's theory? Definitely these kind of theories, because inconsistencies will be there and a lot of criticism will be there. So Kant has criticized that knowledge requires a unifying self to organize experience. Self is necessary for memory and recognition. So therefore, Hume's saying that there is no self or no permanent self, or it's only created by memory and association or bundle of perception, is not agreeable as far as Kant is concerned. Uh, Hume's rejection of metaphysical entities. This is definitely leads to some extent skepticism, uh, because he has denied God, he has denied matter, he has denied self. So Hume's skepticism, because he says matter, like Berkeley, he denied the independent material existence, arguing that objects are merely collection of perceptions. God, anyway, he has rejected that there is no direct way of knowing or see experiences God. Soul, he has rejected. So for Hume, belief in such entities arise from habit of custom and not rational proof. So again, I will say that this statement of Hume, that metaphysics should be committed to flames because it contains nothing but sophistry and illusion. If it comes for elaboration, you have to write all these things, and finally conclude that he has rejected soul, he has rejected matter, he has rejected God, and he only say only ideas exist. But some philosophers have called his skepticism as naturalism and not skepticism. For example, modern scholars like Smith and Strauchan view Hume as a naturalist rather than pure skeptic. So this also we will discuss in detail subsequently, but we should know that there are some strains of skepticism in Hume, because he has rejected all kinds of metaphysics. He says neither self exists, nor matter exists, nor God exists. But uh, Definitely, Achai. Also, he has told that there is no certainty in empirical knowledge. He rejected logical necessity in causality. He dismissed metaphysical and theological claims. So all this leads to skepticism. But uh, then there are several other philosophers also who are radical skeptics. So compared to that, Hume is called moderate skeptic. So moderate skeptic, sometimes it leads to or leanings to naturalist uh, philosopher also. So sometimes some of the critics have called him a naturalist philosopher. Definitely Hume's philosophies have discussed very thoroughly subsequently, and it has profound impact, particularly on Kant, logical positivist, and philosophy of science. Kant, in fact, Kant, when we next week we will be studying Kant. So very important philosopher. Usually a 20-30 marks question from Kant definitely comes, and in ethics also Kant is very important. So he has a very profound influence on him of the Hume, and he has given a statement that Hume's philosophy has made him awake from the slumber in which he was. So this is what Kant statement is there. With that also we will again study when we study in Kant next week. Now, there are 2-3 important theories of Hume, which will go in little detail. In brief, we have already discussed Hume's philosophy. So, Hume's criticism of theory of causation. Now, this is questions have keep on coming, and this is important thing also. So, uh, partly we have discussed in brief, but here we will go again in little more deep and detailed so that we can understand it little better. But this is a very, very central concept as far as Hume is concerned. Hume, as we know, he was a very, very rigorous empiricist. He has compared, I mean, what empiricism started from Locke, passed to Berkeley, and came to Hume, and he has applied rigorous principle of empiricism as far as the even causality theory is concerned, a theory of cause and effect is concerned. So, what I mean, see, experience does not provide a direct understanding of causation. So this is why, because uh, he says that it's only psychological necessity, not a logical necessity. So this expectation that uh, effect will follow from a cause is a merely psychological rather than indication of necessary connection. So, I mean, we have already seen that uh, theory of causation is not acceptable to Hume because he says that cause and effect are not logically connected. They are not connected necessarily, but it's only a psychologically mind connects them, ideas connect them. So therefore, the theory of causation is not true. It's only a psychological necessity. It's not logically that every time things will happen like that. And problem of induction also we have seen. This is also related to that only, that inductive reasoning lacks rational foundation. So both theory of causation and induction theory, both are in a way related also, because induction means previous our observation says that something will follow something else, but or something will happen in the future, but that may not be true. That is not that is not on rational foundation. That is not a logical necessity. So Hume's skepticism about causation is closely tied to his problem of induction, because both are interrelated. Uh, so, whether we can rationally justify assuming that nature will remain uniform over time. So, he says that nature, what was there in the past, will not be same in the future, may not be same also. So, we cannot justify logically this thing. So, therefore, a theory of induction or causation theory, as far as Hume is concerned, he is opposing both. Now, I mean, if we go in little detail, let us interpret his theory of causation. What he says basically. So he says that uh, interpretation among scholars, basically, scholars have interpreted Hume's theory of causation in three ways. So first is causal reductionism, second is skepticism, third is realism. So first is Hume's definition of causation are definitive, and that causation can be fully explained in terms of constant conjunction. Second is that Hume leaves the problem of induction unresolved, emphasizing the lack of justification for believing causal necessity. Third is, some scholars argue that an underlying necessity in causation that is not fully captured by constant conjunction alone. So basically, I mean, some philosophers see that Hume has not rejected the causation totally. There is some underlying or underpinning that cause is, I mean, effect is contained in the cause. So, but there are these three kinds of interpretation of his causal theory. Now, how Hume has criticized the causal necessity, we have already seen that. This is a little more elaborate way. We are seeing that experience alone establishes causation. This is what his first observation. Second observation is causal connections cannot be demonstrated. Third is causality is psychological construct and not logical. So this is what Hume's three ideas or three sub-theories as far as causal necessity is concerned. Hume challenges, we have seen earlier also, Hume has challenged that causal necessity is not a logical necessity, and causal power as an inherent force. There is nothing that effect is inherently contained in the cause. It's not true. Then uh, cause and effect are not logical necessity. So these two things Hume has challenged basically. He has also criticized rational views on causation. Rationalist view of causation is normal view that nothing, I mean, there has to be some cause for some effect. Nothing comes out from nothing. So there is a cause and there is effect. So, and incidentally, both Locke and Berkeley, even empiricist philosophers, they also believed in causality, but Hume has criticized this, that no, there is no rational connection, there is no reason, there is no logical connection. So, therefore, the rationalist theory that cause effect is contained in the cause is not correct. So, causality is merely a habitual expectation based on experience. Belief arises from custom rather than any objectively necessary connection between events. This is what Hume has told. Kant has criticized of Hume's causal theory. Causal necessity is a psychological rather than logical. This is what Hume told. Kant has given another theory. I mean, we'll see next week when we detail. But Kant has told that it's a product of habit, but a fundamental condition of human cognition. He has given the theory that there is transcendental principle, a necessary presupposition that allows us to make sense of experience. That uh, faculty, there is a mental faculty. I mean, already, I mean, just like if you say, you can say innate ideas in a way which rationalists believed. So Kant has given same theory, similar theory that maintained that this causality originates in the faculty of understanding. So Kant saw causality as an a priori category, just like rationalists. That structures are available in the mind only. So this is how he has uh, basically criticized Hume. What are the views from Indian philosophy? Indian philosophy, if somebody, I mean, some of you might have already gone through that. There is a Satkaryavad, there is Asatkaryavad, Nyaya theories, Satkaryavad, uh, then Pratit Samutpat, Buddhist philosophy, then Advait Vedanta. They say that causality is an illusion with an empirical reality, but ultimately it dissolves in absolute reality, that is Brahm. So basically, Hume's skepticism, in a way, uh, uh, is not agreed by Indian philosophy because they differ. Event on the other. Advait Vedanta says that causality is an illusion as far as the reality is concerned, real this thing is concerned. What are the modern scientific perspective of causation? Modern scientific contemporary science, they say that this probabilistic and deterministic models they have come through. Quantum mechanics, principle of indeterminacy and outcomes are probabilistic. Then there is Chow's theory of physics. Again, so neuroscience and cognitive science, casual beliefs may be ingrained in human cognition as an adaptive mechanism rather than objective necessity. So basically, I mean, even modern science also does not agree with Hume that there is no this thing. However, they say that yes, there is a probability or I mean both kinds of models, probabilistic model and deterministic model. So, uh, but there is definitely connection between cause and effect. So it cannot be argued that it's only a psychological necessity and not a logical necessity. So this is what modern science also says. Uh, Now, another related theory, but this is also again important because problem of induction. This is very important because uh, this is also a very interesting and new kind of theory which Hume has given. He says that inductive reasoning uh, will not lead to genuine knowledge. Uh, his theory is, or assumption is, uh, or opposition is that generalization from past observations. This is what induction, in his opinion, is that we generalize from past observations. So, past observations are not a key to future. So therefore, induction is not true. We also, the induction also assumes that nature is uniform, that future events will follow in past patterns. But this is also not true. So basically, these two things Hume has opposed. Uh, what is Hume's analysis of induction? Uh, he assumes that uh, inductive inferences move from observed instances to unobserved cases or general laws. So therefore, uh, the uniformity of nature cannot be proven deductively, as it is not a necessary truth. It cannot be justified inductively, since doing so will assume the very principle of being questioned. So it becomes a circular argument. So therefore, induction lacks a rational foundation. So therefore, it's not a logical necessity, it's only a psychological understanding of mind. So uh, he challenge of uniformity, he challenges uniformity of nature. How can we justify our belief that future will resemble the past? The principle of uniformity of nature cannot be validated purely by experience. So therefore, uh, the induction is, there is no, we cannot induce anything from past uh, experience regarding future. uh, Indian perspective, because I keep on telling that Indian perspective and perspective from modern science also we should understand, try to understand, and try to incorporate wherever possible in our answers, maybe a little briefly. So Indian philosophy also, Charvaka school, they say that there is no, they have totally rejected the inference as unreliable. Some of you might have already studied, so you may be knowing. They are totally materialistic tradition and only believe in experience, and they totally rejected the any kind of induction or inference. Nyaya philosophy, they believe in uh, inference, that is Anuman, they call Anuman, arguing that induction can be valid on a well-established causal relationship, that is Vyapti. So this also we will study when we go to Indian philosophy. Some of you might have already gone through that. Buddhist epistemology, they advance probabilistic reasoning, because there everything is momentary. There is uh, absolute certainty is often unattainable, they say. So therefore, partly it resembles that, but still there is some casualty available in that. What modern science says, modern science, yeah, probabilistic models and falsification methodology. So basically, more, there this thing is, science relies on repeated observations and statistical analysis to formulate reliable hypotheses. So basically, even though cause and effect relationship may not be 100% true, but then they have other models of falsification methodologies to prove the results. Then Bayesian inference, they believe in prior probabilities and new evidence. Then machine learning and AI again align with a probabilistic rather than deterministic approach. So what are the, positive points and negative points, or pros and cons, or critical evaluation of Hume's theory of induction? See, uh, basically, Hume's problem of induction remains a significant challenge. We know, all of us know, because this very, very important thing he has raised. Uh, Subsequently, there have been several responses to attempt either to resolve it or bypass it. The first is pragmatic justification. Some argue that since induction is indispensable, we must use it. Then reality-based approaches. Inductive reasoning has been successful in practice, which provides a naturalistic justification. Then Bayesianism, probability-based reasoning, offers a structured way to revise beliefs in light of new evidence. Then falsification. Science mostly believes in falsification rather than rigorous, rather than induction. So this is what believed by science. So basically, even though it is a central issue, but none of the neither modern science nor subsequent philosophers, they have agreed. They have either modified it or diluted it, and then uh, uh, believed in that Hume's theory has not been a very, very consistent theory as far as causality and induction is concerned. So with this, we, in a way, very briefly, we complete the Hume's philosophy. Now we'll go to question of week 7. What is the questions we will try to do? See, first is Berkeley's question. Discuss est percipi, that is to be perceived, or Berkeley's idealism. Both are same thing. Because Berkeley's idealism, we say, then again subjective idealism and all those things you have to discuss. You have to briefly mention Plato also, because Plato's idealism is, or Hegel's idealism is, as you have already read, objective idealism, uh, and est percipi. So this is again same thing. Then Hume's skepticism. Is Hume a skeptic? This also, see, these two questions we will try to answer next week. If some of you are interested in sending me the answer, you can send on this mail ID. I will evaluate and return it back. So these are the two questions for this week, which we will be attempting next week. Now, if anybody wants to say anything, because I will first, this sharing thing, I will stop. So anybody wants to say anything? Otherwise, we'll close. Yeah, anybody? Okay, then we'll meet next week. Again, I'm repeating. Next week, Saturday, we'll be having philosophy class, and this next week we'll be discussing very important philosopher, Kant. Uh, then Sunday we will be starting with our introductory class of the GS4 ethics paper. So if any of you want to join, you can join anyway. Uh, but if you can tell your friends also, if they are interested, they can also join on Sunday 9 p.m. For ethics class. Saturday we will have philosophy class, and in that we will discuss Kant. And subsequently next week we'll discuss Hegel, and then with that we'll complete our Western philosophy, because as I told, 70% of syllabus will be covered with this. Remaining philosophers, I request all of you to go through yourself or some other source. After that, we will start Indian philosophy after 2 weeks, and that we will try to cover about 70 to 80% syllabus of Indian philosophy also, and then socio-political philosophy, and then philosophy of religion in the end. So by October, we will be covering about 70 to 80% syllabus of all this. So this is what we are going to do. As I told last week also, some philosophical terms and some terms from ethics, because anyway, I'm starting ethics paper also. So for that, separate short videos we will be preparing, and I will be putting. So that also we will do. Maybe last week I could not do, but next week I hope that we will be able to do for explaining philosophical terms and also terms used in ethics, so that it's easier for you to understand the lectures, notes, as well as comprehend when you read the books also. And also you can use those terms while writing the uh, answers also, as far as exam is concerned or practice tests are concerned. So if anybody wants to say, otherwise we'll close.
Hello,
Okay then.
hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can we get PDF of this session?
Yeah, PDF. I think you have joined new. But actually, PDF. What we do is whatever material we use in Zoom sessions.
Yes, sir.
Next day, I put the PDF in the Telegram group as well as in WhatsApp group also. So from
Okay,
both the groups you can access. In fact, past PDFs also you can at least access from the Telegram group.
okay,
So
fine.
this is, I'm informing all of you. You can inform other friends also. If they want to access, they can join the Telegram group. Even past PDFs also, past 6 week PDFs also they can access. I next day only next day of Zoom meeting, I will put the PDF of all the whatever we have discussed.
And sir, past sessions are there or not, sir, on a Telegram?
हाँ है ना, टेलीग्राम में है, वहां से आप ले लो, है ना.
Sir, session was very nice, sir. Thank you.
थैंक यू बिकॉज वो पीडीएफ विल बी यूजफुल, बिकॉज तो इसीलिए आई कीप ऑन पोस्टिंग इट. सो ऑल पास्ट प्रीवियस सेशंस पीडीएफ्स आल्सो विल बी अवेलेबल ऑन इन टेलीग्राम. as well as in WhatsApp also. But WhatsApp, I think going back and accessing will be difficult. But
Yes, sir.
Telegram you can access. Telegram you
Yes,
can.
sir, I will do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Anybody else? Otherwise, we'll close. Okay. Thank you then. Thank you, everybody. We'll meet next week. Thank you.